And then this one here is in Beat It. And the sun, see, popped out. The minute I said that it was mostly cloudy, the sun pops out and messes with my lighting. Hello, my name is Michelle, and this is Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. Today is Monday, October the 27th, and this is episode number 67. Hello, it is it's currently partly cloudy. The sun was out. It's kind of dipping in and out, doing its thing. Mid-50s, yeah, we're solidly into fall. We had a decent weekend, and was it rainy at the end of last week? I don't even remember now. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time checking me out, welcome, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm hoping to squeeze this in. I got the house to myself. My son will be coming home from work at some point here. So if the dogs start barking, that is probably him arriving. I have 2 finished objects to share with you, but despite that, it's actually probably going to be a fairly short episode because I only have one other project that I worked on besides those finished objects. So, before I dive in, let me talk about what I am wearing. See if I can, my rocking chair here is right literally behind me. This is the Marmoset Pullover that I knit. I cast it on back in June of 2021, and I didn't complete it until the following June of 2022, and not because it is a particularly challenging project. I think it is one of those that it did not capture my attention, and it got set aside for bigger and better things, as it were. So I like to pull this out, especially in the fall. It's kind of a fun one to wear when the colors are changing, and I have this fun scarf that I got when my husband and I went to Canada several years ago. I usually pair with it, so kind of fun. So that is what I am wearing. So without further ado, let's jump right over to my blocking board and take a look. All right, again, I have not one, but actually 2 finished objects to share with you. The first one is my Rhythm in the Needles cowl. It's my brioche cowl. I think I like this side better, but of course, brioche is reversible. And so here is the pinker side out, but I do think I like it better with the white. So I actually haven't even tried it on. Let's do that. See how it be. Oh yeah, that's kind of fun. I like that. That'll be a fun little accessory to wear this winter. So I finished this weekend. The yarn for the final time is my Haute Knit yarns, and I already threw the labels away, but it is their Jimmy sock, and this one is in Roller Rink. And then this one here is in Beat It. And the sun, see, popped out. The minute I said that it was mostly cloudy, the sun pops out and messes with my lighting. But there we go. So that's what I have left. It was, I don't remember. Let me see if I can find the projects. I finally took the time this weekend and I weighed it, and which was really great. How much did I use? Because they were 50-gram minis. So I used 0.28 gram, 28 grams. So just over half a bottle. So I couldn't quite, well, I could do another one. It would just be a little bit smaller, but I might, 28 grams leaves me 22 grams. I might almost be able to get a pair of shorty socks out of these if I wanted, but we'll set them aside. I don't know what they will become. But yeah, that's what I have left. I cast it on, go back to my notes here. I cast it on September 18th, and I finished it up over this past weekend. So just over a month. I wouldn't say that I worked on it steady. I've had a lot of other things that have kind of captivated me, but that's not too bad for one project to kind of take 4 or 5 weeks. Again, probably could have in reality been done a whole lot quicker, but I mostly worked on it, to be honest, during Bible studies. This was a great project for me to bring. It was super easy to, didn't require a lot of focus. And that's where it got most of my love. So that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is another little yarn cozy. So in the Downseller Studio podcast, it is the Pigskin Party, which is her knit along every September. And the Q1 challenge for the month of October is sponsored by Natty, who is the designer of the yarn cozy. And so the challenge is to knit 1 yarn cozy and get entered into a drawing. And so I have wanted to knit a cozy out of this yarn for a while, and I have had it set aside since the beginning of the summer. So that was just a little nudge that I needed. This yarn is Murky Depths, Cranberries, and Cornbread, and it has been so many different things. This cozy actually will be really quite special. I knit this, I cast it on Friday night because on Saturday I knew we were driving up to Orono for one of the football games, and I thought it would be a perfect project to do during the football game. And so I wanted to have it ready to go. So I cast it on, I got all of the increases done on the bottom and just ready to work the 3.5 inches up the side. So the yarn is, again, it's by Murky Depths. It is, I think Deep Sock is the name of it, and it is in the Cranberries and Cornbread colorway. This is a skein of yarn that I bought the very first time we visited my daughter in New York City. And then the next year when we went to visit her, it was the first pair of socks that I knit on a New York City trip. I have knit socks when I've gone to visit her, and this was the very first pair that I did. So I have actually knit yarn cozies out of each subsequent pair of socks, so I wanted to go back and knit a cozy out of this yarn. So it's kind of special. It'll be a fun one for me to use. I love the colors, actually, and I don't know, the sun is probably messing with the coloring on it. But the fact that it is yarn that I bought in New York City and socks that I worked in New York City with my daughter or around my daughter, and I knit the cozy at my son's football game, where of course he's the marching band, but at the football game, I just kind of have some really fun memories knit into this particular cozy. So I'm super happy to have this one done, worked up super fast. I knit on it a little bit on the drive. We had about 20 minutes when we first arrived before we started following the marching band around. And then I worked on it and I cast it off. I even pulled up my directions on my phone so I could do the I-cord bind off on the top. And I did the last stitch, just I think it was like the last minutes of, or seconds of the 3rd quarter. So I literally worked on it pretty much the entire football game. So that will be a fun one. I'm happy to have that one off the needles. So I think now let's take a look at what is currently working in my project bag. So the only other project I worked on is my Northeasterly blanket. I'm super excited to share the progress that I got done this last week. So we'll find my little marker here. So I had just finished, I believe, this pink color. So I got the green there, one there, the pink, and then I ended with this bluish color here. And then I started the last month's colors, my October colors. So a little bit of the brown, and then I'm into each color proper. They're really, really fun fall colors. So I don't know if you were counting, but I only have 6 colors left. I have high hopes and plans to get this done this week. I actually really am hoping I can get all 6 colors done by the end of this week, by Friday the 31st, so I can say that I completed it in October. And then I will have it as a finished object to show you next week. If I can get it done by the end of the week, then that will give me time to wash and block it, because it will need a wash and a block to really kind of lay flat. And then once it's been washed, I can go back through and trim off all of the little hanging. I haven't really clipped a lot of the colors. I wanted to give it an opportunity to wash it because I will wash it right in my washing machine on gentle and wring it out, and then I'll probably lay it flat on one of my beds to dry. But that will give me a chance to clip it, and it will be done over the weekend. And that is the goal. That is the hope. I am super, super excited. And then maybe I'll actually have something more interesting to talk to you about. I did not even touch my Stephen West knit along because I really was focusing on the blanket. I did a lot on, obviously, on the blanket, and then the yarn cozy and my cowl. So that's where my knitting time, my yarning time went last week, was to these 3 projects, and I'm super excited to have this one almost done. All right, well, I did say it was gonna be a short one. Yeah, I'm only at like 10 minutes. So, and of course I only recorded last Wednesday, so in all fairness, it's only been, what, 5 days, 6 days? So Thursday and Friday of last week were fairly quiet. They were rough days at work, actually. I've had a lot going on, and I came home and pretty much crashed. And yeah, that's where a lot of this blanket got done, was me focusing on yarn, because it made me happy, because Thursday and Friday were a little on the stressful side, I won't lie. But then Saturday we went up to Orono, and it was a beautiful day. Actually, the sun was out for most of the day. It clouded up about halfway through the game, or just a little before halfway through the game maybe. The sun kind of started hiding behind the clouds, but it was in the low to mid 50s, and the wind wasn't really very windy, which it sometimes can be up there in Orono. So it wasn't bad. I had like 4 layers on to try to keep myself warm, and I really wasn't cold, other than sitting on the cold bleacher seat. That was making my behind there a little bit chilled, and it felt good to get up off of that. But the game was great. They won pretty handily. I think it was like 34 to 14 or something, or 42 to 14, I think. So that was great. And then afterwards we took my son out for dinner and to Walmart because he had some shopping to do. Yeah, he wanted the debit card, right? So we took care of that. And then on Sunday, we, of course, went to church. My husband was very gracious and went and got groceries Sunday afternoon so that I could sit and relax. And then we went and visited his mom last night. So that's pretty much the name of the game and where things have been. Today was a much better day. I've had a better start to my school week, and I think I'm in a better place. So hopefully this will be a nice, good, quiet week. Get caught up on some things. Get my blanket done. That is the goal for this week. So with that, I think that's about all I have. And again, it's short and sweet, but I wanted to make sure I gave you an update. So I will have show notes down below for all of the things that I have talked about. And if you enjoyed the episode, please do give it a like and hit subscribe so you know when I post a new video. I hope you have a wonderful week, and happy knitting.